Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at today. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and would love to know where you're at, where you're watching from. Just put it in the comments. Say good morning, good afternoon. I love to see where everybody's joining from. I'm Tildy Wahardo. I'm one of the ambassadors for 1 Million Meditators, and I love what Anita Morrow, the founder of 1 Million Meditators, has created here. I love listening to all the other ambassadors sharing their own expertise and genius, whether it's meditating, praying, body movement. Just really enjoy this community, and I just want to thank Anita for inviting me to share my own messages that we're calling the divine inspired messages. And really these are just downloads that I have gotten in the past or continue to get on a daily or weekly basis as I connect with God, and God being, you might call it your higher power, your divine intelligence, your spirit. For me, in my experience, it is God or the Holy Spirit. And so that's what you'll hear me refer them to. So today we're going to talk about forgiveness, and not only forgiveness, but forgiving ourselves. Last week we talked about letting go, and how that is actually the second part of forgiving someone. So if you missed that one, I highly recommend that you watch it, as it's a really important part of forgiveness, at least in my own experience, and what that taught me, and the miracle that manifested because of that. And so today we're going to talk about how to forgive yourself. And we often find it really easy to forgive others. It's a lot, at least in my own life. I found it much easier to forgive other people, and didn't realize how I had not forgiven myself for things. And so I came to a point in my life, I told this story a little bit in the previous week about being divorced in 2005, and how I had forgiven my ex-husband really easily, but I hadn't let go of needing an apology from him, and what that process looked like. And so the event that happened to me in leading up to forgiving myself, I had been in a relationship for about 4 years with a narcissist, and I kept going back, and I kept going back. And mind you, I'm a strong woman. I'm intelligent. I'm smart, and yet I kept going back, and it really affected my mindset. It affected my self-esteem. It affected a lot of my life, and I became very depressed. And it took me a while to cut those strings, to cut those ties, and to be able to find myself again. And that was about, I guess, 2010 when that happened, and 2011. And fast forward to 2017, I think it was, where I just felt stuck. And I felt like I was not living life to the fullest. I didn't feel that joy that I had once felt. And although I was happy, I was really grateful. I was really happy. I had everything anyone could ever want, but I just felt like there was something missing, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And no matter what I tried, I just couldn't get to it. And then one day I was having coffee with a friend of mine from church, And she asked me, she said, have you prayed about it? And ironically, I sat there and I looked at her and I started laughing. I said, no, I said, and that should be a huge indicator, because every time I had gotten stuck before, I always prayed or I meditated on it and I got an answer. And so for me, it was an indication that, first of all, I may not have been ready to ask, afraid of the answer that I would get, or that I just had been looking to myself more so than God for the answers that I was seeking for. And so it was either that night or the next night, I actually had the courage and really took the time to reflect on myself in prayer and ask God what it was that that was keeping me, why I wasn't feeling the joy that I should have. I had everything. I had beautiful friends, family, home, everything. And so as I went into prayer and meditation, I, I heard and I felt forgiveness. And immediately I was like, what are you talking about, God? I have forgiven everybody, from the people who molested me when I was a young girl, to my husband, to, the narcissist, and to everybody in between who has hurt me in one way or another. I have forgiven them. And I'm like, who are you talking about? And this, even before I could finish the thought in my head, I felt a resounding, you need to forgive you. And in an instant, I felt this overwhelming feeling of like, yes, this is true. I've forgiven everybody else, but I haven't forgiven myself. And so I asked God to show me what it was that I needed forgiveness for, and or what I needed to forgive myself for. And the forgiving myself ended up being for putting up with all the crap that I had put up with the narcissist, forgiving myself for going back to that so many times and hurting myself in the process. And so I was really convicted about that. And as I laid there in bed, really crying, but asking God at the same time, like, okay, I realize I haven't forgiven myself for that, but how do I do that? How do I actually extend myself the same forgiveness that I've extended to other people? I didn't know how to do that, really. And so, I just sat with that and I meditated on that. And I asked God to show me how to do that. And a couple of days later, I get a phone call from my pastor, and she asked me to give communion that Sunday. And she had never asked me before. I had never given communion. And so I show up on Sunday. I say, of course. And so I show up on Sunday, and we have different stations within our church when we provide communion. And it was my job. I was assigned the cup of the wine. And what I was to say during that service was, the blood of Christ poured out for you. And she asked me to be very intentional about looking people in the eye and ensuring that they feel the love of Christ as I'm saying that. And so I did. I took it very seriously. And so it was a full crowd, a couple of hundred people probably that day. And they were just lined up at the station that we were on. So they started to come by. And with each one, as they came to me, I said, the blood of Christ poured out for you, and extending that forgiveness to them like Christ would for us in church. And as I continued to do that, I started to see people, really see people like I could see the anger, I could see the fear, I could see the despair, I could see the joy, I could see the anger, I could see all these different gamuts of energies and emotions that were coming at me in all these individuals, and I would extend them the grace that I felt, that God was flowing through me. As I was saying, the blood of Christ poured out for you. And as I was doing that, I felt myself come out of my body. And I know this is going to sound really weird, but I felt myself come out of my body. And I was no longer in it, but I was observing myself and them. And all of a sudden, I saw myself in each one of those people, extending myself the forgiveness and the grace that I was providing to them. And I saw myself in each one. Oh, I get emotional just thinking about it. As I felt the same love that was flowing through me to them was now being flowed through me to me. And as I was observing this, I got emotional in the physical, in my human form. I started to get emotional just like I'm getting emotional now, because it was so overwhelmingly powerful. And I had to come back to myself so that I could compose myself and not totally lose it right there in front of everybody in church. But it literally changed me, and it healed me. It healed that part of me that needed to forgive myself, that needed to extend myself that grace and that love and that healing moment of divine connection, of just amazing love that I felt for myself. And so the importance for me in that, after that day, I mean, it changed me forever, in how I extend myself, the same grace that I extend to others. Because a lot of you may be able to forgive other people really easily, and you might even be wondering, the way I was, like, why do I not feel maybe whole, or why do I not feel the depth of joy that I once felt? What is it that is keeping me from feeling vibrant, from feeling alive, fully alive? And not that I didn't, it was just like this little piece, because I don't want you to get the impression that I was feeling, depressed or anything. No, it was just, I'm so self-aware that there was a little piece that I knew that was missing for me at that time, where that was being blocked. And so when I forgave myself, and when I extended myself the same forgiveness that I was extending to others, it healed that part of me, and I was able to continue to move forward in the fullness of life, and the fullness of love, and the fullness of the way that I felt like I was supposed to be showing up, and I wasn't. And now I was, because of this transformation that had happened to me right there and then. And I know it, in sharing stories like this with you, it's not to pat myself on the back. It is really to show you how much God loves you. And he not only will reach down to touch me and my heart and to hear my prayers, but he's there for each one of you in that same way. The only thing that you have to do is ask and be open. Because I can tell you, when I go to prayer and I ask, I know that I'm going to receive an answer. And I always do. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable, and it might be pushing me to out of my comfort zone, to do things that I find scary at times. But I can tell you, every time that I do it, that it's always been to my benefit and for my learning, for my growth, for my love and trust to grow deeper in my faith, in my relationship, because I'm not talking about religion here. I don't care what your religion is. I'm talking about your relationship, your real relationship with God. Can you walk and talk with God? Can you relate? One of the most powerful prayers that I've ever prayed is, God, please help me to see people the way that you see them. And I invite each one of you to do that same thing, because it will transform the way that you see the world. When you're able to see past people's actions, past people's words, and actually see them and who they really are, it's transforming. And so this moment when we're talking about forgiving yourself, it's transforming when you can see yourself, not only in each person that you forgive, but also to be able to see yourself the way God sees you. And to be able to extend yourself that forgiveness that He so graciously hands out to every single one of us. That love and grace that He extends. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what mistakes you've made. Until you learn to forgive yourself, forgiving yourself is the most powerful thing that you can give to yourself. And the only way to do that is with God's help. Because believe me, just saying I forgive myself is not going to be enough. It'll only get you so far. You'll still feel that monkey on your back. But until you really give it to God and release it, then you'll be free, completely free. And I can't express to you how much of a release and freedom I felt after that day. The past, 6 years for me have been just miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. And the only reason that has happened to me is because I've been open. I've been open to learning. I've been open to going deeper in my relationship, more intimate with God. I've been willing to humble myself and ask to be taught how to love, how to forgive, how to extend grace, how to be more kind, how to be more compassionate. I've just been open to all the things that we need to be open, that I need to be open to, in learning and growing in that more meaningful relationship with God. And so in forgiving myself, my relationship, my love, my trust for God only grew deeper. And it only led me to bigger and better things within me, within my life, with the relationships that I have with my family, my friends. It changes you. It changes you to be aligned, to be centered with that divine intelligence, with that love that really transforms people's lives. I know that it's transformed mine, and I hope and pray that these messages touch you in one way or another, and that you're able to see yourself the way God sees you. Brilliant, magnificent, divine, as an heir to the throne of God. You have access anytime you want. And so I invite you to take advantage of that access, to take advantage of growing a more deeper, meaningful, loving relationship with your Creator. So I hope these messages continue to encourage you, to inspire you, and that you really reflect this week. Is there anything in your life that you need to forgive yourself for? And go into prayer or meditation to God with that. And I know that He will reveal anything that's holding you back from living a truly full and joyful life. I love you. And next week, we're going to be talking about perception and how that is key to creating the reality that you really want in your own life. So I look forward to seeing you again. And please let me know where you're watching from, and let me know how you're liking these messages. I'd love to hear from you, and connect with me on Facebook. I'm always free to new friends. All right, everybody, have a great week. Love you.